Okay, welcome to the session. I'll just spotlight myself. All right, so let's begin. We are on page 32, 32, 32. Okay, first sutra. You remember we talked about it. These are called sutras. Why they are called sutra? Because they are very, they form a continuous chain. Number two, they are tightly packed. They are like formulas. You have to unpack them. That's what we try to do in these sessions. Develop a mind that really thinks, not a mind that parrots. So, what is the biggest function or a feature of a parrot? It repeats what you say. If like I remember very early on, we had a parrot. So if we would, the bell would ring and we would, shout out from wherever we were, "Kaun hai?" So the parrot would also say, "Kaun hai?" So it essentially parrots. Parrots means it copies what you are telling it. So that's the whole thing about a parrot. So essentially, what master is saying: don't do things because other people are doing them. You should really think, and we have talked about it. Real freedom, real independence comes when we think for ourselves, when we don't leave thinking to other people. All right, just give me. So we were talking about a mind that does not parrot, it does not imitate, but you really think independently. You do your own thinking. Question everything, but do it politely. Now, you see, one aspect of independent thinking, if you want to think independently, then you must learn to question things. Somebody says something, okay, he says, okay, this is the right way of doing this. You should question, for you to now think about it and come to your own conclusion, you need to question. You have to say, okay, why? But why? Isn't there a better way? What are the other alternatives? This way of doing, can it not be improved? Just giving you an example. So the questioning is a very important part of independent thinking, of your own thinking. Now, again, master, what is he doing? He's giving us a little subtle knowledge. He's saying questioning can be done in two ways. One way of questioning is to challenge. Oh, how can you say that? How dare you say that? But this is not true. So and so says that. There you are questioning, but it is in a manner that is challenging. You seem to be challenging the other person. So don't challenge, but inquire. Make it clear. For example, let's take a very simple example. Somebody is giving me a recipe to make some dish. So one way is that I challenge, but so and so has told me this, and why do you say this? I think there can be you inquire where you make it clear. Look, I am not challenging. I just need to understand better. So that is why I am asking you these questions. So do it in a manner that is polite, that does not hurt the other person's feelings. Right? Otherwise, you will find that people will stop sharing information with you. People will, a lot of our information comes from other people. Most of it. I mean, I don't know how much you get from these sessions, but, hopefully I am transmitting some things. You should definitely question it. But if you will question in a challenging manner over time, what will happen is that the other person will stop trying to give you information. Right? I think this is pretty obvious. I think maybe I'm spending too much time on this. Okay, let's move on. Trials develop your ability and your discernment. You become sharper, stronger, and more powerful. This is a really powerful sutra. trials, you understand, when master says trials, what he's talking about are difficulties, problems in life. Now, the thing to understand here is that, humans are also, in a respect, animals. But how are we different from animals? Some animals are stronger than us. Some animals are faster than us. Some animals they have abilities which we don't have. How we are different and what makes us the strongest being is our ability to think. We are humans. Humans, the root word is man. Now, man comes from the Sanskrit or the Hindi word manushya. And manushya comes from the root word mana or manas. The ability to think is what God has given us so that we may survive, and not only survive, but fulfill our life's mission or our life's objective, which is to evolve spiritually. And you see, like you go to a gym, unless if you want to build your muscles, you have to lift weights. You have to make, strenuous effort. There is some obstacle and you have to push against that. I don't know if some of you go to the gyms. Unfortunately, I am not a gym person, as you can see from my physique. But, people who go to the gym, they tell me that you have to make an effort against something that, is heavy or pushing back or something like that. So that is to develop your physical muscles. How do you develop your mental muscles? By solving your life's problems. And there is another aspect to this. When you are in a difficult situation and you try to deal with it emotionally, usually the problem will get worse instead of getting better. I hope you have, you've experienced enough of life to, see that there is a grain of truth in what I'm saying. So our ability to think is what will solve our life's problems. So that's why Master says trials. Trials means difficult situations, problems. They will develop your ability and your discernment. Because if you do analysis, why am I in this problematic situation, you will find it is because at some place you made the wrong decision. You did something that you thought was important but was unimportant. You took something as real but it was unreal. Are you understanding? So discernment, ability to distinguish between right and wrong, real, not real, important, not important. So the result is you will become sharper, stronger and more powerful, not again physically, but mentally. All right? Okay. Let's move on. Why should there be no conflict? There will usually be conflict. Our social background and experiences are not the same. Therefore, our perceptions are not the same. Differences in perception mean differences in opinion. Differences in opinion lead to conflict. I think kind of obvious, don't you think so? Don't you think it is sort of, you think? You see, what happens is that in Sanskrit, there is this word sanskar. Sanskar means, the stored summary of your experiences, etc., etc. They are like veils or colors that are coming in front of your eyes when you are looking at something. So our perception of anything is partial, number one. That means it is not complete. Number two, it is never 100% accurate. We never understand reality completely and fully. You remember we talked about the Heisenberg principle? In a few sessions ago, we talked about the Heisenberg principle. Now that Heisenberg principle applies. We never know. There is an element of uncertainty about everything. And in Hindi, there is that famous story of Andho ka Hathi. There is this elephant and four blind men, and each has got a different part, and he holds on to that. And the guy holding the trunk says it's like a pipe. The guy holding the leg, he says it's like a pillar, etc., etc. So each of them has a different and partial perception of the truth. Yeah. And, in this respect, Master Choa, at least personally, I have found that he has made life very, very easy. So you never end up in a conflict. You say there are 11 or 12 chakras. Someone else says, no, there are only 7 chakras. You just understand different, perspectives, different facets of truth, different levels of truth. You don't get into an argument. You don't get into a conflict. All right? You see, conflict, the master has said, talked about differences and opinion lead to conflict. They will lead to a conflict only if you insist, or some person insists, that what I am saying is right and only I am right. What we have to understand is that I can be right, you can be right, saying something different. To do a very silly example, very silly example, you look at this from the front, you see a lot of buttons. You are seeing this from the front. I am seeing it from the back. There are no buttons. You are telling me, press the 4th button. I am looking at the back and saying, what button? So that is how it is. Reality, that uncertainty is always there. We never know reality 100% fully, completely. All right? Okay, let's read the next two together. Differences in opinions are sometimes productive and progressive. They help to clarify issues which result in a more balanced decision. Extreme or fanatical decisions must be avoided. When there are no differences in opinion, there is a greater tendency for failure. This is something that each of us needs to implement in life. Because it begins with the understanding that truth, reality has many levels, many facets. Each of us has a partial understanding. Now, when we collect different views or different opinions, different perspectives, we are getting a more whole, WHOLE, holistic understanding of the subject. Even in pranic healing, so I'm sure you attend a lot of these nurturing sessions. Each person who's conducting, he's giving you a different twist to the truth. It's not that they are giving you untruth, but each person is presenting the truth from a slightly different point of view, from a slightly different perspective. And why? Because Master told us earlier, because each of us, our life experiences are different. Our sanskars are different. So we get it different. That's why I always recommend to people, you must review each course. Every course that you do in pranic healing, review it from different instructors. Even when you do Arhatic yoga, do it from different instructors. Review it, because each of them has a different way of explaining the same thing. And the important thing Master is saying is that if there is extreme or fanatical thinking on something, where you say, no, this one view and only this is correct, nothing else is correct, that is not good. Because your grasp of the reality is partial, it is limited. So obviously that will lead to worse quality decisions. Your decisions will not be the best possible. So if you have to take a decision in life, you form an opinion, but also listen to other people. It doesn't mean that you accept what they are saying. In Hindi, there is that very popular story, and the summary of that is, Suno sabki, karo man ki. I mean, you come to your own decision, but try to gather opinions, points of views, perspectives from other people. And another aspect of that is, you do something, you ask for feedback. You see, because you do something and you think you have done a great job, whatever, and other people will tell you how they perceived it. And in that respect, I have a humble request. I keep asking for feedback. Please give me feedback so that I see, I'm of course making my own effort, but you have to also please help me improve by giving your feedback. Yeah, and feedback can be positive or negative. Don't worry, I'm a grown up person. I can handle criticism. It's okay. So I would really, really appreciate feedback. All right. Now, one last aspect of this, because I don't think we will start on the next page. If you look at methods of governance, the way countries are governed, two popular methods are there. Number one is democracy, and number two is dictatorship. Dictatorship can be partial, complete, etc., etc. There can be some dictatorships which are disguised as democracy. I mean, they have voting, but the voting is all fudgy, because there's only one candidate. Like, for example, in Russia, I mean, Vladimir Putin is a dictator. I mean, you can argue that there are elections, but those elections are just for the name. They are not really elections. So that is why democracy is the best system of governance. I mean, my personal view. You can differ from me. It's all right. Because in a democracy, people have the option, the thing to give different points of views. So it is very important in a democracy that we are able to give feedback to the government. We are able to tell the rulers or the people in positions of power that this is what we think about what you're doing. Not only giving votes, but, giving our feedback also. And, also the rulers or the people in power, they should welcome feedback. If they don't welcome feedback, then, they have a particular point of view. But like we discussed, it is limited. It is when other people will bringing different points of views that they will take better decisions, because their decisions affect citizens. Their decisions affect the future of the nation. Anyway, sorry, I'm diverging into something else. So I hope you found this useful. We'll end here for today.